Welcome back, Dr. Joan Fallon, CEO of Curemark and one of our dear friends to 24 Hours Nothing But Net. It is so great to see you.
It's great to see you. You've been everywhere, and now it's great to see you. I guess you're at home now, so that's wonderful.
It looks like you're in the lab. What you got
I'm
going
at the
on?
office. Yeah, I am. It's a big work day today. It's a Monday, so
I hope there's no trademark secrets back there.
no, just a lot of work.
Yeah, tell us what you're doing. Tell us what your work is.
So, as you know, we've been working on this drug for autism now for like over 15 years, and we're finally at the end of the process. So very soon we'll be submitting it to FDA for approval. So we're very excited. We've had some great responses and great feedback, and it's been a very safe product. It's been an efficacious product. So we're very excited about that. And that's what we've been doing.
It just seems amazing in 15 years that you can be working on one single thing as long and as dedicated as your process has been as the CEO of this idea, right? That is going to come to fruition. What is the requirements for it to be able to get to FDA in layman's terms?
So it had to pass, efficacy with patients, and then it had to be safe. So those are the two requirements, and there are very specific things they want you to do in that process. And so then you have to manufacture it to make sure you can manufacture it. So it all kind of comes together. So we've been working on all of that for such a long time. And, and it requires persistence and faith and a love for what you're doing, right?
Yeah. Where does that love and passion come from your ability to put this idea to paper and then to do all the things that you've just described, which I know are no easy task?
So I think it comes from the kids, right? I mean, that's what it's about. Our hashtag is it's all about the kids. I didn't do this to like run a pharma company. I did it because I thought maybe it could help some children. And that's what my passion's all has always been about. It's been about since I was little. It's been about children, medicine, and anything with a ball. So those three things are really what I find are my passions, and they've been that since I was little.
I know that's true because when I first met you, it was at a baseball game, and I know you're a big Yankees fan. How did your love of sport combine with your ability to be a CEO of a company come together?
Well, I know that you run camps, and your motto is build, serve, and empower, right? That is the key to all of it, I believe. I believe that leadership, a lot of leadership learnings come from sport. And I'm so happy to see women's sports now finally getting to where it needs to be, or it should have been a long time ago. But it took people like you to keep pushing that. And leadership is not just about people holding flags. It's about solving problems and being able to accomplish things. And your love for Special Olympics and all of that is all about empowering and building and serving. So I feel very honored to know you and to support what you're doing.
I'm amazed at women like yourself who are such great role models for somebody like me. There were so many people that came before me, but then there are people like you that are still leading the way, that are still empowering others. And you run a gigantic company that I don't have any idea how that comes together. Explain to us a little bit about that leadership component and how many employees you have, and describe your company a little bit, because there are a lot of people tuning in because they're going to be really interested in this new drug coming out that want to know how it's going to help families.
So I think that, we started out tiny, and we're still sort of tiny in the realm of big pharma, but we have tremendous resources that we've employed all of this time. So for example, we have consultants that we talk to, if not every day, every week, people who've been on this journey with us for a very long time. And so being able to manage all of that outsourced part and then all of the internal part has been challenging. I didn't know anything about business when I started this. Literally, I did not. And had some great mentors. Mentorship is really important. And I've been able to make it all work. And sometimes it took, there basically are no drugs for autism. There isn't anyone that works on the actual symptoms. And it's a gut brain drug. So people are like, gut brain, like, what's that? Of course, 10 years ago, people were questioning sort of, how could you even think that? And now, of course, it's much more in the mainstream around medicine. And so I made a discovery. I took it forward. I raised money to do that, a lot of money, and told everyone that I would give them the best possible chance to get this drug to work. And we've had the cooperation of all kinds of phenomenal physicians and nurses and across the country who've done these clinical trials for us. We had a big paper come out in JAMA in November talking about not just our findings, but how we can look at these neurodevelopmental conditions in a different way. People try to solve one little problem at one moment in time, but neurodevelopment is not like that. It needs a cascading effect and reversal of changes that didn't happen at a younger time. So it's been a challenge. I feel like I'm blazing some kind of new trail every day, but it's for the kids. So that's why I do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's remarkable each time I sit with you, I learn something different and I learn something new. Frankie has Down syndrome. He's not on the autism spectrum, but we have a lot of friends that do have children and young adults on the autism spectrum. And when I listen to you describe what would be a new drug that has never been in the market, that is something that is going to help families, tell us how it's going to help families, what you expect through your clinical trials that you will see.
So I think that autism is a spectrum. So not every child changes in the same way. But what it gets them to do is to be able to, for example, reducing their irritability and agitation. Once that changes in their hyperactivity, then they're better able to communicate and then better able to socialize. So that's kind of the cascade of change that we saw in varying degrees with each child. So, autism is a very big problem across the globe. I was in the Middle East in the end of last year. They have the highest incidence of autism in the Middle East, but it's a global problem and it's just getting more and more. So hopefully this can not only help families and children, but it will spur on other research. There needs to be other things developed. And when someone could, it's one of my big pet peeves is that not a lot's developed for children. Drugs are usually developed for adults, and then they try to retrofit them into a child. For us, we developed it for a child. So I think it's about spurring it on, getting more research, more help for children with all kinds of condition, whether that's Downs or autism or any of the numbers of things that affect young children.
You mentioned communication and the ability to communicate, which allows you to socialize. I am 100% behind that. I know in the early stages with Frankie and the IEP process, I thought communication was the key to everything, that if he could communicate, that the other kids would play with him. They wouldn't ignore him on the playground because he couldn't speak or he wasn't able to physically or body language communicate. It's such an important component for their development as young people, young children. Is that true? Do you believe that? Is that
way ahead of your time? You're way ahead of your time because it's the key to all of it. And in 2017, FDA held a big meeting for parents and caregivers and people for autism. And they did this big polling. And overwhelmingly, the numbers of things that parents and caregivers wanted to see change for their children was communication. If my child can just communicate with me, and it doesn't even mean to be full speech. Sometimes it's just a gesture. Sometimes, they don't have receptive language. They have expressive, but they don't have receptive language. So all of that improvement can really make a big difference. So you are absolutely right. It's the key to everything really in life. It's the key to stopping wars. It's the key to healthcare. It's the key to all of those things.
Solving daily conflict, overcoming adversity, taking care of a challenge, the ability to communicate. I'm with you on that. So, Dr. Fallon, we just spent a whole bunch of conversation on education, right? The academic side of what it means. Let's talk about the entertainment side of the autism in our country and Love on the Spectrum, the show that Netflix has put out. I know you've seen the show.
Yep.
Frankie has a little cameo in there because Tanner is his roommate. And the things that Tanner and Frankie have been able to experience have been incredible, that Frankie has been able to tag along with Tanner in a lot of different things. When you watch the show, and those that haven't seen the show that are aware that it's a show about young adults living on the autism spectrum, trying to find love, trying to find friendships. When you think about that show, what comes to mind about what you're doing in all the 15 years and the 2 decades that you've spent trying to help people be able to communicate and have a full life? Because that's what we're leading towards here with what you're doing. How does that all come together for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, life is about others and being able to be with others, whether that's love on the spectrum in that way, or friendships, or all of those things are key to our happiness, right? And so being able to give an individual as much functionality as possible, as much ability to communicate, as much ability to look at another person and have some empathy and understand what they are feeling or thinking, those are really important things. And you know, some parents described in our trial with the more severe children that they don't even hug them or call them by their name. And in some cases that was able to happen, you know, as part of the trial. So just that little bit makes a big difference and gives people opportunity to have human connection. And that's what we live for, human connection.
Maria Shriver wrote a book, Something's Wrong with Timmy. I think that's the name of it. I'm trying to remember because you've just made me think about what we're talking about. And the story is about a little boy that has Down syndrome that no one, you know, kids would come home and say, what's wrong with Timmy? He doesn't talk. Or what's wrong with Timmy? He doesn't do this or that. I took that book, and every stage along the way in elementary school, I handed it to whoever was on our team, whether it was a therapist, OT, PT, teacher, aide, lady in the cafeteria, front office in the elementary school, whoever was on a day-to-day basis in contact with Frankie. And I handed it to them and I asked them if they would read it and then sign it. Because to me, that would mean that they understood the book was about how to help this young boy navigate elementary school with everyone around him. And it wasn't always about him, it was about everyone else around him. And I look at Love on the Spectrum and it makes me think about that it is must-see TV. It's like, if you watch this series, you learn so much about people that are living with autism and how you can help them cope, or how you can balance your own interactions with them so that they're not offensive and that you're not afraid and that you're willing to try. And I just think it's remarkable when you look full circle at what you're doing and how you're going to impact so many families. We're trying to do the same thing, right? We're just trying to help others.
That's right. And the thing that people forget sometimes in the midst of all of the difference in some children is their talents.
Right.
These children have amazing talents that get overlooked because they don't do things the way I would do it, or maybe you would do it. But it doesn't mean they don't have tremendous talents. And I know Frankie, and Frankie's got amazing talents on multiple levels. And so he's the perfect example of that. And, you know, and your family has nurtured that for him. And that's what it's about. It's about that for even neurotypical children, but even more so with children who have differences. So it's important.
I don't know what awards there are out there for people like you that are doing groundbreaking work for many years, but whatever that award is, you deserve it because every time I talk to you, Dr. Fallon, I'm amazed at how much you have helped progress, just the progress, and you've pushed things forward and you didn't take no. And I can't even imagine the challenges that you face at the highest levels of government and everything else, trying to do what you're doing. I admire you so much. That's why every year I ask you if you'll come back, because I know there's something out there that you're doing that we need to know about and we need to share it.
I really appreciate that a lot. And, I admire you as well for all of the, you break ground every time you're on television, every time that you do something, every time you move Frankie further along in his journey, or you shooting foul shots. I was watching you doing burpees this morning. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but I'm still going to take you up on that offer. You're going to take me to a Yankees game sometime, right? We're going to go to
Anytime. Happy
give
to
me
do
the
that.
update. How the Yankees doing?
They're doing pretty well. They scored 15 runs in the last 2 games. Let's see if they can keep that up. But
we were-
two Januaries ago, I met Anthony Volpe at the spring training facility. He was there early, and I said to him, "Do you know that all of the Yankee Nation is waiting for you to come?" And in his typical humble way, he said, "No." I said, "You have no idea that like the entire New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut, we're all waiting for you?" He's like, "No." And I said, "Well, the next time I see you, I'm going to remind you that I told you that, because you're going to be in a very different place." And so, even someone like me can empower a young person. It's always important to do that. So I'm happy for that. So,
well, I'm grateful for God putting me in your path, and
for
for
sure.
us being able to share our collective experience around trying to make a difference for families like mine, and for people on the autism spectrum that absolutely can't wait to see what this drug will do for helping them manage and navigate their own lives. So thank you, Dr. Fallon. I'm so grateful. I'm glad you could be back with us on 24 Hours Nothing But Net.
I'm excited, and I'm happy to, keep going and watch you there in the driveway.